I was having a conversation the other day about dating and my own personal dating experiences from before I have the understanding that I do now. And I remembered myself, the version of me from back then who, was on like dating apps and I was on social media looking at, quote unquote experts giving dating advice, guys and girls telling you how to act and explaining dating scenarios and attachment styles and what to do when he doesn't like you, like you know what I mean, like those kinds of posts and whatnot. And I remember in specific one time this one girl was talking about her dating experience and I thought, oh my god, like I can relate, and then of course you open up the comments and everyone's like, oh my god, how relatable this is what happened to me, this is what happened to me, I went through something similar, or I went through something, the same thing. And being where I am now, it the thought of relatability um made me question a lot of things. And I came to the conclusion that being relatable is the worst possible thing you can do for yourself. And what I mean by that is if you just look at society in general, people, I mean, it's funny though, because if you look at it from the past, when you look into the past, there was this whole thing of being accepted for who you are and the uniqueness, right? Everyone wanted to be their own person. But now we've kind of went back into this place where everyone's acting and behaving the same. But that being said, people, when you like, you could be at a coffee shop and a conversation kind of just comes up and someone's like, oh my god, like I can relate to you, or what are the hashtags on social media, hashtag relatable. And it's like, why do we want to feel so accepted of our shortcomings and issues and problems and the crappy parts of life? And then more than that, why is it when we see someone who's going through something, we want to relate to them so bad? Like we feel like we're suddenly the world is just and everything's all fair and wonderful because you felt like you could relate, like, oh yeah, I went through something similar, I went through a pain, or I went through that heartbreak, or I went through that kind of situation. And I thought about it and I was like, I never want to relate to someone ever again, for two reasons. One, I know who I am, I know what kind of life I have, I know what kind of person I am, and no one can be me. There's only one me that's going to be on this earth. But two, I don't want to relate to other people's problems. I don't even want to relate to other people's excitements. Like if you achieve something great, great for you. Your excitement is your excitement. That's part of your experience. But my excitement is my excitement. It's part of my experience. And I don't want to relate to someone. I mean, I guess I can understand the joy of having said or of having achieved something because, I have my own achievements, but I don't want to be relatable. Get out of here. Why would you want to be relatable? And I can understand the good side of it, right? Like, oh yeah, I'm also in love and your friend is in love and like, oh, I just made a big move in my career and your friend made a big move. Fine, fine, fine. I'll give you that. But how about when it comes to, like I said, the nonsense? Like, you're scrolling through your social media and then a video comes up of a girl and she's saying, story time, how my boyfriend, I found out my boyfriend cheated on me through blah blah blah. And you're like, oh my god, I remember when my boyfriend cheated on me and I found the same way. And then you sit there and you watch it and you're like taking it all in, and now you're like reliving that memory, which you think is just a memory, but like you're reliving that entire experience now. Your body is reacting the same way it reacted when you first went through that situation. Your mind can't doesn't know that it's part of the past. Your mind thinking it's happening to you all over again. You're being cheated on all over again. You're the person who discovered the cheating all over again. Right. And people don't see like that's what kind of holds you back. Not kind of, it does. Especially if you're like on this manifestation journey and you want a new relationship or a new career or whatever, then you like hop onto social media and you see someone post something along the lines of the point in life that you want to be in, again, let's take relationships for example. Let's say you had a nasty breakup with your SP, and now you want to manifest them back, and you're like, all right, I got this. I selected a new version of them. I am staying true to my desire. I made the decision. I know everything's working out for me, blah, 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 blah. And then you get on TikTok and you're scrolling and you see a video come up of this girl, story time. Let me tell you about the time me and my boyfriend had a nasty breakup and it resulted in him ghosting me. And you're like, oh, interesting. Let me see. And then you read it or you listen to it or you watch the video and then she's talking, and then you're like, oh, oh my God, I can relate. That was me. My SP did that to me. He literally said the same thing to me. And now you're no longer the person who has that new version of your SP. Now you're just the person who got ghosted and broken up with again. Now you're reliving that entire thing because you want it to be relatable. For what? For humility's sake? You don't need to be humble. That is such a human thing, and I can understand it, but why? Why do you have to relate to that person to, if you want to, like, I guess, share your condolences and you want to be nice and, be there for someone, like if you have a friend, for example, who's going through a breakup, you can be nice to them without having to relate. I remember, like I said, when I am like in my previous dating experiences, everyone just wanted to relate. Oh yeah, girl, when my boyfriend texted me like that, we got into a really big fight and then da 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 da. And I'm just thinking like, okay, so this happened before. But now, or later on, I would think, what makes you think we went through the same thing just because it sounds similar? Like you have completely different people that are in these situations. Like for me, I'm one person, and then my person, my boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever is their own person, and then there's my friend, and then there's her girlfriend, boyfriend, and it's like there are four completely different people in these scenarios, and yet somehow there seems to be a relatability. And my friend, would carry on and, share her experience, and then I would kind of take it and make it a part of my experience. But I didn't have to. That's what I mean. I see this a lot, like I said, on social media where people are like, oh my God, like this is not an individual experience. This is something that I also experience. And they're kind of going on, but they don't realize. I mean, leave regular people aside, people who don't understand or know about the law. But for those of you that want to, like you're on this journey, you're trying to manifest a better relationship, a better career, relating to someone, especially when they're not even at the level or at the place that you want to be, is the worst thing you could do for yourself, in my opinion. Because why would you want to relate to that? I thought you were better than that. I thought you know more than that. I thought you're elevated. I thought you knew that you were the creator of your reality and your experience. So why would you want to relate to someone who feels helpless, someone who victimizes themselves, someone who perceives worlds in a very black and white manner, someone who perceives the world in a very finite matter? Do you see how that can go against you and your journey? That's why I say that, because I went through it when I first fell into the journey of, manifesting a person back. While I would tell myself, okay, yeah, I'm selecting new versions and it's gonna be great and da da da. And I remember I watched this YouTube video of a girl and she was going on about how she dated a guy and he turned out to be a catfish and he turned out to say this and do that. And I remember thinking, yeah, like, dating online sucks, and like it got to me so deep. Like I could just feel all the emotions coming over me again, and about how upset I was because I had a shitty experience. But I didn't have to do that. One, you could just completely altogether stop watching that kind of content for your own sake. But two, you don't want that energy in your life. That's not saying that everyone you ever meet is probably going to be in alignment with you. You can definitely assume that, right? And you can definitely have that experience. But if you're someone who's kind of more regular about it, like you don't really particularly care about who you meet, you might meet someone who doesn't agree with you, and that's okay as long as you have the ability to not put yourself in that position where you're influenced by it. Then fine, by all means do what you want to do. But I think a lot of people who kind of start on this journey, at least from my experience of chatting with folks, they're very susceptible. And at that point, you don't want to be talking to people who don't understand or who are judgmental or, come from a very finite place of thinking. That's not going to help. Those are just my thoughts. This one was a little bit of a shorter one, but that was on my mind because I was talking about dating and I thought, yeah, I remember that feeling and it wasn't the greatest. But anywho, thank you for listening.